Welcome back. I'm so glad you decided to come back and hear more of my story, my family's story, and the story that Denise Graham-Zahn wrote for me. It's called The Legend of the 21st North Pole Santa, and we're on chapter 7. Let me put my glasses back on so I can see, and we'll continue. Chapter 7 is called The Weather Worsens. The morning of December 24th, Papa was abruptly awakened by a sharp knocking at the door. Though Papa was an early riser, he wasn't expecting anyone at this early hour. The sun wouldn't be up for several hours yet. Nevertheless, he put on his glasses, calmed his wife Mary, who was as startled as he, and went downstairs to answer the door. Without hesitation, he opened the door and found one of his neighbors frantically waving his hands, pointing toward his home. It was too dark for Papa to see, of course, so he beckoned Charlie in. Charlie, slow down, Papa said as he motioned him to calm down. Tell me what's going on. Papa, it's never been this bad. You know it's never been this bad, Papa responded. What are you talking about, Charlie? Slow down, for heaven's sake. The snow, Papa. Why, haven't you heard it? Charlie, how could I hear snow falling? Papa, it's never been like this. My roof is caved in from the very weight of it, and it has happened throughout the town. Many of the townfolk have no place to stay. Papa, I came to you for help. What are we going to do? And Christmas Eve is tonight. Oh, how terrible. I don't know what to do. Well, the first thing you need to do is calm down. Let's get you some hot apple cider and I'll calm my wife down. She'll want to help. Of course, Mary was already up and in the kitchen fixing the hot cider. That's me. She had heard the conversation and knew she'd be needed. Fortunately, their own home was as solid as a rock, but they would need to arrange space for some of their neighbors. Unfortunately, the Santas and their families had already arrived and were occupying most of the rooms in their home. Nonetheless, they would not turn anyone away who needed help. Mary would see to it. As the hours approached daylight, Papa's house began to reach full capacity. But at least when daylight arrived, the damages throughout the town could be assessed so a plan could be made. Excuse me. Mary has a cold. The question was, how long would the snow continue and how many more families would have to leave their homes? It remained to be seen. In the meanwhile, Papa and Mama made everyone feel at home. The pantry was stocked, so all the friends and neighbors with their children enjoyed a warm breakfast and were calmed by the knowledge that they were there for each other. The children, of course, had fallen asleep on their comforters in the great room beneath the portrait of the first North Pole Santa. At first light, Papa began to awaken those who had fallen fast asleep. Listen, men, my wife has prepared breakfast for you. Once you've eaten, go home and check the damage done to your homes. Let your wives and children sleep. In the meantime, I will find out about weather conditions or weather predictions. Come back once you've done what you can to protect your homes. We'll have a hearty meal ready for you. Papa was concerned about the homes of the townfolk, but no one was hurt, and he knew they would help each other out. There really isn't a lot they can do until the weather clears, he said to Mama and Holly, who were busy fixing breakfast. Looking out the window, he shook his head slowly and said quietly, "It just keeps coming down." Then he turned to Mary and said, "Mama, take a look. It is so thick you can't see more than a few feet in front of you, and the wind is fierce." Then, dropping the curtain over the window, Papa prepared to go outside. "I must get to the airport," he said to Mama abruptly, who knew what he was thinking. Holly knew also and insisted that she go along, and Mama agreed. Papa's real concern, of course, was Christmas. Many of the Santas had not yet arrived. Without all the Santas, they would not be able to deliver the gifts, even with Rudy guiding the way. I have a visitor here who wants to go upstairs. So if you don't mind, let's let Moki go through. There it goes. The Moki. The believing world was simply too large after 20 generations of Santas who lived very long lives. How could they make the Christmas deliveries? After feeding the magic reindeer, Papa and Holly prepared Rudy for the ride. Flying didn't seem necessary for the short distance to the airport after all. Holly, Papa said, when they were out on the road, these roads are impassable for anything but the magic reindeer. I've never seen it this bad. I don't hold much hope that the Santas will make it to the Fairbanks airport. Papa was right. All flights have been canceled, both incoming and outgoing. Accustomed to cold, the airport simply could not keep up with this snow, especially with the wind swirling it into deep drifts. Papa was very concerned now, but he knew that his neighbors required immediate help, so he turned his focus to that. But it was difficult to forget that Christmas Eve was just hours away. Little Star, Papa said, if the snow does not stop soon, the Santas won't arrive in time to deliver presents to the children tonight. Something I don't want to think about. Not now, anyway. Then he abruptly changed the subject. We've got to get help. We've got to get back to help Mama. The possibility that there really might not be a Christmas for the first time ever was more than he could bear to think of. How could they break the hearts of children all over the world? Papa's strength amazed Holly. His heart had already been broken by the news that Holly would not receive a birthright, and now Christmas might be canceled altogether. No, Holly thought, that won't happen. Papa will not let Christmas be canceled. He will find a way, even if he himself doesn't think so. Holly had confidence in Papa and put her arm through his and said nothing. After the townfolk had lunch, everyone headed to the town hall where a meeting was called. More people than he expected were there when he arrived. Santa, one of them spoke up, there is so much damage to nearly every home throughout the town that there is little we can do to help each other. Few homes were spared, and with visitors in town for the holidays, all the hotels and motels were full. We don't know where to wait it out. The town hall isn't meant for these kind of situations. Papa listened and shook his head. They were right, and he had no idea what to do. And his thoughts kept turning to the possibility of canceling Christmas. Suddenly, though, like a spark, Papa's face lit up, surprising everyone. Pointing a finger, he turned quickly to Holly and said, Little Star, go to Elfton and wake up Eli. Tell him I need him here as quickly as possible, and don't delay. And off Holly flew, and whisked Eli back to the town hall, barely letting him dress. Breathless, Eli arrived with Little Star to see the town hall half full of people without hope, with one exception. Eli, thank you for coming so quickly. We need your help, Papa said. The townsfolk looked confused, and Papa continued. The roofs on these people's homes have caved in from the snow, and they have nowhere to stay. Every place, including my home, is full. He looked straight at Eli, knowing that he was going to ask a big favor. A favor that only Papa could have asked and expected to get an agreement on. Eli knew something big was coming, but he could not have predicted what Papa was going to ask him. Papa blurted out, Eli, can they stay in Elfton? Well, this was a first. No one but elves had ever stayed in Elfton, and Eli thought that this was not a good precedent. After all, he thought, my ancestors were treated very poorly by the townfolk. Besides, maybe they should have built their homes underground, where it's safe. Absolutely. They should have built their homes underground. Papa could read Eli's face before he even opened his mouth. So it was no surprise when he responded, Santa, it's never been done, and we are very busy right now with last-minute toy making, he said, as if it would be the final word, which it was not. Eli, replied Papa, these people need our help. And isn't that what the spirit of Christmas is about? Giving to others from our hearts? Eli was flustered now. Papa's definitely good, Holly thought. He pushed just the right button, and Eli responded in just the way Papa knew that he would. Holly smiled. By now, Eli was struggling, not with the decision, but to keep his excitement in. Suddenly, he burst out yelling, "Why, yes!" he said. Yes, of course. It most certainly is Christmas. Most certainly, he said, rubbing his chin. Suddenly, his hands flew up in the air, and he yelled over the crowded room, of course you may stay with us." And with that, a huge grin covered his tiny face, and the spirit of the townfolk was restored. Papa heaved a huge sigh of relief, even though he always knew that Eli would most certainly help. Papa hugged Eli, flustering him a little, but he was calm when Papa said, "Thank you, Eli. You are a true friend to the community. Now, I must figure out what we can do about Christmas." Papa left the town hall and headed for home, which remained full of townfolk and family. Canceling Christmas is out of the question, he told Mama and Holly. Most certainly out of the question, he said with a grin, thinking back to Eli. Mama was confused, but Holly smiled knowingly. Papa winked at her. "What can we do to deliver the gifts with so few Santas to run the sleighs?" Papa asked them both. Mama and Holly just looked at each other. They had no ideas for Papa this time. "Well," Papa said, "I guess it's time for a powwow with my family." And that's the end of chapter 7.